Okay, so here's what we're going to be working on today. I got my key here on the driver's side door, and it works to lock and unlock the doors. But the problem is that this key doesn't work for the passenger side door. So I'm going to do this. I can't even turn it. It doesn't work. So I'm going to take apart this lock cylinder and rekey it so that it works for the driver's side door. This key, it works for the driver's side door, and it also works for the ignition. So the goal is to get it to work for the passenger side door, the glove box, the center console key, and the trunk. So I'm going to show you guys how to remove these lock cylinders and rekey the tumblers. So what we're going to do here is open up the driver's side door. And on the inside right here, there's a little bolt that goes in. It's a T30 socket. So I'm just going to loosen this bolt here. A couple little turns. So to get this bolt removed, I'll save it for reinstallation. So to take it off, you move the key about a quarter of a turn, kind of unlatch it there, and then move it out from the back side. So just like that. See, when you look inside the door handle, you can see this little area where the handle attaches to. So this little hook here attaches inside there. So when you reinstall this, you want to, turn the key a little bit. It moves this, and then you can kind of have some clearance there inside of that hook to re-hook it into that and then close it. So that's how it attaches there. Okay, I'm going to take the passenger side door off now. Loosen this bolt. Now this one might be a little harder to take off because the key doesn't turn the cylinder, so I'm not really going to be able to unlatch it from that little clip. It's going to be more difficult. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. Might have to take the door panel off to get this handle off. Unless I got lucky. So the gasket on this just disintegrated on me, the plastic that goes around it, but the handle looks like it's still good. I live in Hollywood anyway, it never rains, but you would want a nice gasket around this so that when it rains you're not getting water and stuff into your door. But here's passenger handle, got it off. So now we're going to take this handle and rekey it so that it works the same as the driver's side door. Now when we take this apart, we're going to be focusing on this lock cylinder so that we can rekey this so that this mechanism works. So let me go to a work table and show you how it's done. Okay, so we got the two handles here. This is the driver's side and the key works on it, so I can turn this and it rotates that cylinder there, And then here's the passenger one that was broken, so I can put the key in, but I can't turn the cylinder. So what we want to do is remove these cylinders from the handle. Well, first off, the gasket on this one disintegrated when I removed the handle. This one kind of still had it on there. I'm just going to pull this apart real quick. So this handle, the driver's side one, is still kind of dirty. I'm just going to set it over here for a second and throw this gasket away. And so now what we want to do is remove the cylinder from this handle. And the way to do it, this little hook part here, there's like a spring and a hook on here. So what I want to do, sometimes I like pull this spring up and then kind of unhook that so that this comes out. So there's a hook and a spring there. So you know what I did is with 2 fingers kind of pulled that spring down so that I could unhook it. So I'm just going to kind of set this off to the side for a minute, and I still want to remove this cylinder. So there's a little piece here that kind of like comes straight up and it's held on. It's just a little bracket with a spring that's wrapped around it. So you pull that straight up and off and put that off to the side. And what I do is I use like a little brush here and kind of clean these off if I plan on reusing them. Or I got a lock cylinder set, part number 1H0898081A, and it has all of these parts here that, so you can replace it with, you know, a new cylinder, new bracket, the spring for it, a little gasket for it too, and then that latch and that spring. So, you know, this is the whole new kit here. And they're like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks. But they don't come with the tumblers, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first off, let's just remove this cylinder. So these tumblers are gonna come popping out of this because I don't have the key to like hold them down. So be prepared for this to kind of like fall apart. Pull it out kind of slow, see, and you see these little wafers that are holding it up. A couple of them are actually stuck in the down position. They're already down, and this one here is kind of stuck too. See, these springs get rusted and old. So I'm gonna kind of move these tumblers down and take this gasket off, this little gasket. So that's gonna be replaced in this new set. And actually, you know, I'm gonna just remove these tumblers because I'm gonna match them up to the tumblers that were in this, so that when I put the key in, see, you'll see what happens. I put the key in here, these tumblers don't go down. Some of them are staying up. Actually, just one staying up there. Every other one goes down except one. So, you know, the idea is that when you put the key in, all these tumblers need to go into the cylinder so that you can rotate the lock. But you can see here one's sticking up. Now, if I didn't have extra tumblers, the set of them to switch it out for the correct one, I could just like pull this one out and grind it down a little bit, like a millimeter or two, or remove it altogether. But that's going to take more of a chance of some other key that's not this key to unlock this door, since that tumbler is going to be not the correct one. So see here again, I can put this key in and I can see which tumbler it is that is still stuck here. So now when I remove this key, I can remove this one tumbler and replace it with the correct one. So I just kind of pull this one out. See, this one here, and there's a spring inside of there, so I want to set this down so that the spring doesn't fall out of that channel that it's in. And then I can take this tumbler here, this little guy, and replace it with, you know, the correct one here. So there's 4 different types of tumblers. They're different sizes, and I actually got the kit for it. They're kind of hard to find though, but this is it here. I mean, you know, you can see this is an old ass box. It's part number 443898041B, and you can try and find this part. It's kind of hard to find. Anyway, it comes with 4 different sizes of the tumblers, so you know, and I separated them here, so size 1, size 2, size 3, size 4, and there's about 50 tumblers in each of these bags here. And then I got some of the springs too, some new springs. So what I could do is just match up these tumblers, and then it would have the key perfectly matched to this cylinder. So this is the driver's side and it works. So what I'm gonna do is take this lock cylinder apart, and each of these tumblers I'm gonna match it up to determine which number the tumbler is inside of the sequence for this lock cylinder, and be able to remove each one by one, determine which one it is, match it up to this cylinder, and put it back into the passenger door handle. So that's the concept. So I'll do this first one here. I'll just pull it out. Now look at each one of these and try and find out which size that is. So it's not that one. You can tell when you look at it, it's off just a little bit. So it's not number 1. Not number 2. It looks like it's almost number 3, but let's see if number 4 is closer. Yep, it's definitely number 4. Perfect match. So each one of these is off by like just 1 millimeter. So this new tumbler is number 4. So we'll put number 4 inside of the new cylinder in that same location. But first I'll put a spring in there. So we'll get a spring. Put it in there. And now we got this one working, so we'll just kind of put this back together. This part here. Slap that on. Oop. Let me put this lock back on. Okay. I'll get this guy and hook it on there. So, just like that. There we go. Make sure this lock works. There. So, there you go. There you go. Kind of clip one side in and then the other. There we go. So we got that new clip in. Now, let me try this again. Because a couple things have to happen at the same time. I think that's it. I should be able to just screw this in and hold it down. Okay, we're back at the passenger side door, and I got the handle working here. So with the key, you can turn it now. So I'm just going to install it in here. So put that side in. Kind of turn this to latch it on there in the door. Kind of jiggle it around a little bit. The trick is to get it latched on that little door, so you gotta turn this key a little bit and kind of, it's a little bit of a trial and error. There you go, I think I got it now. I'll get this bolt and bolt this back in and feed it there, tighten it down, Oh, is this loose or tight? Righty tighty. So, let's make sure this is clipped in there just right. Tighten this down. There we go. So, locked, unlock, open. So now I can lock it and unlock it from the passenger side. Locked. Unlocked. Alright, so these are the pieces for the lock cylinder and the trunk that I took apart. And first I gotta replace these tumblers in the cylinder. You can see here with the key in, there's a couple of them that stick up. So I'm basically just gonna, systematically go through and add these new tumblers, the right sizes, so that when I put the key in, then all of them are flat inside of the cylinder. None of them are sticking out, so that I can turn it inside of this shaft here. So the shaft, let me kind of show you how this gets put together. So the cylinder goes into the shaft, and then the spring goes on, and then it goes into this area here, so it all kind of clips in here just right. And then you got a O-ring that goes on, and this guy, there's two little holes with some notches here, so this clips on like that. Well, you put it over it so that it clips on, you know what I mean? And then this goes on the inside of it, rotates back and forth, and then this guy goes on the top to kind of cap it all together. And then you got a little clip that goes onto the shaft to hold it all in place. So that's the sequence of how this whole mechanism gets put together here. So I'm going to take it apart here though. And like I said, I'm going to focus on these tumblers. See, again with this one, it looks like there's only one that's off. So I'm betting that the ignition got replaced in this, and the previous owner rekeyed the key to the front door for the new ignition that they replaced, but they didn't take the time to go through and rekey the passenger and the trunk door. So now I'm doing the trunk door on it. So I'm just gonna, in fact I could do this right now, remove this key a little bit, just enough to where I can remove this tumbler, and then try and replace it with the one that will fall down into place. Let's see if number 4 works. First we'll make sure that this one isn't 4. It's not. So let's see, I have a feeling this one might work. So put this guy in, press it down. See, now that goes all the way down in there. Okay, so I went through and replaced all the tumblers in here for the exact match. So, and a tip I did too is I kind of held these in. I started at the farthest away, made sure that fell in place flush, and then just worked my way one at a time and held these tumblers in as I worked on the next one in the sequence, and pulled the key out just enough to where I could pull out the next tumbler. Now another tip that I did is I used a little toothpick here to kind of poke out the old springs, so I replaced them with new springs. So anyway, now yeah, I got all these new tumblers in. And I wrote down the sequence of the code too, so that way next time if I ever need to rekey a cylinder, I just have it written down so I know which sequence of tumblers to use to be able to work for this key. So now that I got this working, I'm just gonna throw it back into this shaft here and make sure that it turns right. Here, let me see, I think it's supposed to turn 180 degrees here. So boom, take it out, boom, take it out. And then we'll just put the rest of these parts on and clip it together. Should be done. These springs, I replaced them, I'm going to throw them away. But these tumblers, I'm going to clean them up and find out which ones they were and put them back into this bag and save them. I think it's time for a beer now. because what it's supposed to do is like catch this hook. So if you turn it like this to the locked position, when you press in, it doesn't hit that hook. But then when I turn it to the unlock and press it, then it's supposed to move that lever. So you can see here that like that, and then when you turn it here, see it presses that lever. So anyway, I just kind of took this pin off and rotated this cap the other way, and then put it back on and pinned it up. So now the cylinder is ready to go back into the trunk. When it's in the locked position, I can press in on the button and it doesn't open the handle. And I put the key in the other side here. Let me move the trunk. When I put the key in and rotate it, and then when I press down, it unlocks the latch. And then I can turn it back to the lock position, take the key out. So now the key works for it. Another thing worth noting, these little wires that went up there, I don't really know what they do, but I'm pretty sure they don't really do nothing special because the vacuum pump still works. And so yeah, I don't really know what that wire does, but anyway, I unhooked it and taped it off and kind of tucked it away, so I don't really plan on using it. Yeah, another thing worth mentioning is this guy got broken. Like the plastic broke off it from the previous owner. He had it siliconed on there. I ordered a new part there, so I'm going to put that on too. And it's pretty easy to replace that. It's just like 2 6mm Allen bolts to take it off, and there's actually a wire plugged into that too that holds a sensor to let you know whether the trunk is open or closed. So there's a little wire in there, you just unclip it from the inside. And then this bar is connected to it too. You can kind of pull this out a little bit and then unclip this bar, because that's actually what moves back and forward to latch and unlatch this. You can see here the trunk lock works for it too. So